Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and this is the LockerGnome Daily Report, or TLDR for short, your daily dose of geek news, product views, and answers that you can use, like an answer to the question, Chris, when are you going to eliminate that silly mustache? And the answer is, right now, because it's really annoying me. Here we go. Happy? There, it's gone. Stop asking! I actually have to give my wife Diana a choice whether or not I keep it or lose it before I pick her up on Sunday when she's returning home from visiting her family in Texas. And very happy to see her again. We'll be happy, as I'm sure many of you out there will be just as happy because she adds fun and frivolity to our mix here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. This is a live video broadcast going out to YouTube. If you want to watch live, it's easy to do. All you got to do is become a patron. Everybody else gets to watch the video after it's live, with hand gestures and all. Why is it live? Because Chris Pirillo hates editing video. Hashtag shock. How come every time I say that, no one ever uses hashtag shock in their tweets? Or maybe they do and I just don't see them. Thank you to the 773 patrons today. If you want to become a patron, it's easy to do. And yes, PayPal is supported. Head over to chrispirillo.com. Become a monthly patron. I got a really nice message, and I can't believe I'm about to say this. I really can't. I got this nice message from a new patron today, Yada Graham, and I don't mean to share this message with the world, but I think it's fair to do because you all know my stance on ad block. I'm not a fan of it because when I'd produce videos and I was offsetting costs through advertising, people using ad block, it just felt like I was giving them something really for nothing. I mean, they were giving me time, and I was giving them my time. And I wasn't a fan of Adblock, but you know what? I'm becoming a fan of Adblock. I can't believe this, only because of this context. Yadagram says, thanks, I figured I might as well support you since I use Adblock and love your videos. So, if you want to use Adblock, feel free to use Adblock, but then at least become a patron if you like the videos. It just offsets the balance. And honestly, I would rather have you use Adblock and be a patron because that's a more direct relationship that I have with you. So I can't believe I actually said that because you guys know how long I've railed against Adblock because it wasn't fair to me as someone who was creating something of value to you. It would be like walking into a coffee shop and ordering coffee and then taking the coffee without paying for it. Like if that was the mode of you wanting the coffee that you enjoyed, it just wouldn't be fair to the barista or the coffee shop. So if you're gonna do it, but become a patron. So now that I've laid that out, I thought I was kind of, I wasn't expecting to be happy about that email. I also was not expecting this to arrive today. My Darth Revan minifigure. I mispronounced it the other day and I apologize for it. Darth Revan. I'm not a player of the Star Wars video games. Battlefront 3 is, I think we announced this or mentioned it yesterday. It's set to be released in within canon, so hopefully Darth Revan will officially become a part of canon and not just a legend, as Disney is now treating a lot of the non-movie or non-TV shows within the Star Wars universe. Darth Revan is a badass. Now, I got Darth Revan for free, as well as this poster, which I don't know if I'm going to hang. I'm not a big fan of posters. Maybe my child will enjoy the poster. I got it for free because on Star Wars Day, they made this available, and I got this. Now, this was not free. The Sandcrawler, the Lego Sandcrawler, a part of the Ultimate Lego Star Wars Guide, Star Wars Collector Series, no guide here. 3,200 pieces, or almost 3,300 pieces. This is going to be definitely an all-day build, and we'll have to record it for this channel, not just live stream it, but also do a produced video. And that's another reason why I want to expand my team, because I don't want to have to manage it all myself. I need help, especially with these larger set builds, and especially when producing videos around the builds. I am very, very much looking forward to putting this together. Even though I wasn't a fan of the Jawas or the Sandcrawler in general, I'm a huge fan of the minifigures more than anything. And having some Jawa minifigures will be nice. Uncle Owen as well. And a couple of droids. Some of the droids they say are minifigures, but I'm sorry, I don't count some of the droids that are just an assembly of regular Lego pieces as minifigures. But that's just me. I was very, very happy to have this. Unfortunately, I am considering taking him out of the package. This is what I'm planning on doing potentially within this live broadcast because I want to. I could buy him separately now. I mean, they're selling him online for like $25, which is, wow, expensive. But the Darth Revan action figure, you know, the classic, what is it? What's the standard 3 1/4 inch figurines? I think like these size figures, and obviously have not unboxed that yet, nor unboxed this yet. They're like a classic figure. The Darth Revan figure goes for over $100 on card. So he's a very popular character because he looks like a badass. Unlike me, and I don't look like a badass. Spider-Man Week continues on LockerGnome.com, as well as some other fun stuff and some functional stuff, like the Blue Screen of Death Nightlight, which turned out to be pretty popular when we shared that throughout social. What was your favorite? Okay, here's the thing. I hope and wish that when we post something to LockerGnome.com, you find it interesting enough that you want to share it with the people who might follow you or your friends. Like, look at that. A Spider-Man chocolate egg. Did you know that one of those existed? If you like chocolate, hey, I'm sure you'll love that. We've got some Spider-Man parkour video. Look at that. This is not Spider-Man. I'm sorry, the screen is so bright there. A Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle backpack. Funko Pop Spider-Man bobblehead. And then, you've probably already heard this video. It has nothing to do with Spider-Man, but Game of Thrones theme played in a smooth jazz style. And I believe that a famous jazz player, is it Koz? Dave Koz? Is actually playing along in that particular instrumental playing of the Game of Thrones. So all sorts of geeky goodness there on LockerGnome.com. Take a visit. Share liberally or conservatively if that happens to be your political leaning. I don't care. Tumblr Mobile has received a redesign. If you use Tumblr, awesome. I do use Tumblr. I share stuff there very frequently, including the stuff that we feature elsewhere. I love Tumblr for the animated GIFs. That's me. I love animated GIFs. I posted an awesome one yesterday, but Tumblr didn't process it the right way. Hang on, let me see if I can pull it up here on Google+, because I cross-posted it there, and Google+ handles animated GIFs too. If you want, like, to be popular on Google+, just post animated GIFs. That's all you gotta do. I swear, that's everything on Google+ is an animated GIF. Anything that gets any kind of acceleration, animated GIFs. If you cannot stand animated GIFs, then you're probably going to not enjoy Google+ at all. Okay, let's see if this is going to animate. Here we go. You guys are going to love this. Okay, let me tell you. Oh, it's not playing at full speed on my iPad here, but, oh, man, come on. Okay, now I'm going to have to... No, that's not what I wanted. I got to have to... talk through this. Here we go. Hopefully you can see that better. Bob Mansfield and Johnny Ive with googly eyes. So Apple loves googly eyes. Ah, man, I could watch this for hours. I won't. You can if you want. Certainly you could watch it at the same time while you're listening to this video. Is the podcast working fine now? We should have updated it in iTunes if you happen to like podcasts. Several patrons told me, and I didn't report this immediately, but it was still an interesting topic. Norway has begun using the Oculus Rift in tanks, which is fascinating. Now, you know Oculus Rift, this thing that you strap on your head, virtual reality. We've done videos on this before, at least 2 videos about the Oculus Rift, using it, not just talking about it, because there's a difference between talking about something and actually using it or showing it in the same process. This is a lot of the reasons why I don't like talking about things that I haven't tried or I can't touch or demonstrate. So I think the idea is fascinating because now, you're in a tank and you're kind of, you're driving along, you're looking at monitors, but imagine not having to be strapped to a monitor, but as you turn your head, you would effectively be able to see through the tank, to know exactly where you were shooting, to be able to potentially position better and, hit your target. I don't know, it's just fascinating to me to be able to look through walls, and that kind of experience would make it possible. So, good on you, Norway. I didn't know that Norway had tanks. That's my takeaway from the story. Norway is apparently a very violent country. Hey, look who's talking. I'm sitting here in the middle of America. Not middle anymore, I guess on the edge of America. This close to Canada. Canada has an army too, I think. Well, I know the U.S. has an army. We all have armies, so let's just blow each other up and be done with it. Scientists. Now, this is pretty awesome. Oh, wait, no. Okay, I'll do this story and then go back. Scientists have found a winning strategy for rock, paper, scissors. So, we've all played this, right? 1, 2, 3, shoot. Okay, so I did the scissors, and if you did paper, then I would have cut you, right? Because scissors beat paper, rock, or paper beats rock, rock beats scissors. And they found a formula that will potentially enable you to win the next time you play rock, paper, scissors. And it boils down to this. You do the rock, paper, scissors first, and you use whatever object that your opponent uses if you lose the first battle. So like say 1, 2, 3, shoot, and then rock crushes scissors. The next time you play 1, 2, 3, shoot, you play with the opponent, the last thing that the opponent used. Now assuming that the opponent doesn't change up their strategy or know it, scientifically speaking, you are better off playing rock, paper, scissors with their formula. I didn't explain it half as well as you can read about in the article linked in this video's description, just like everything else. Via a viewer, this is a bizarre one. Just a random viewer sent this in. Man's court battle to marry his laptop. A man is going to he wants to marry his laptop. I'm sorry, but this is asinine. I mean, to love technology to the point where you want to marry it? Yikes. I think there are more important things that you could marry, like another human being. You could marry them because it's consensual. I don't know. What if the laptop doesn't love you back? And I hate to tell you, but the laptop doesn't love you back. And if something doesn't love you back, well, I guess that's the way they used to do marriage. If you want to go by the classic definition of being married, like, it was chosen for you, right? Your parents said, you're going to marry so-and-so, and we're going to get this land. Ha, 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 ha. Because women is property. Ha, 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 ha. That's a bad definition of marriage. I mean, by today's standards, it's a bad definition of marriage, right? Marriage should not just be a matter of convenience. It should be a matter of love. This is the person that you want to spend, you intend on spending the rest of your life with, right? A laptop, come on, dude. All right, fine. It's your life. Who am I to argue? I guess if you can prove that the laptop loves you back. That's where I would draw the line. Does it love you back? Well, then again, Pixie, one of my dogs, or Wicket, I could marry them. They love me back, but in a different kind of way. So how do we define marriage? Your laptop? A man's going to marry, he wants to marry his laptop. Okay. Who might argue? And some people think that technology is a religion. Who am I to argue? Well, actually, I will argue. Technology is not a religion. It's a choice. And that laptop, trust me, if it could choose to be with anybody, I'm sure it would want to be with someone who didn't want to marry it. That's a guess. I mean, if I was a laptop, and I'm not, and someone wanted to marry me, I'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's defrag here. Let's talk about this. My partition tables are not in alignment. Not happy with this. This is not what I want to do. I'm here to compute, and that's it. And besides, I've seen some of the websites that you visit, and I don't think you're monogamous. You've used more than one computer. And I know the websites you visit. If I was a laptop, but I'm not a laptop, so I'm not going to think about that too much. NASA, don't you just love these bits of news? You thought you were geeky. At least you're not trying to marry your laptop, unless you're the person that's trying to marry their laptop. I can't get over this. Why can't I get over this? It's not my life, though. Hey, if it makes him happy, who might argue? I don't want to know how the hell they're going to consummate the marriage, if they haven't already. The ports aren't very big. Okay, moving on. NASA, this is some awesome news, has an HD stream from outer space. You want to watch outer space live in HD? It's possible now, thanks to Ustream providing the feed for NASA. I visited off and on over the past few days, and I didn't cover it originally when they started talking about it a few days ago because it seems to be wonky, off and on. Like, sometimes the stream just stops, it stalls, and I don't think that's Ustream's problem. By the way, disclosure, I sit on Ustream's advisory board, but I think it's a great idea. But apparently, the camera that's being used isn't being shielded from radiation in space. So there's a chance that it's just a beta. This project's just a beta until scientists can develop a camera that can withstand the torture of space. You wouldn't imagine that the vacuum would have much wear and tear, but there's radiation there, things that we're protected from here on planet Earth. But you should check it out. It is pretty fascinating to know that you're watching an HD stream live, unfiltered, from outer space. It's probably the closest that many of us will ever get to being in space, HD. And so check it out. I've got the link there for you. It's at ustream.tv. If you want, you can go there yourself. It's easier to tap the links, I know. A man, now this person I wouldn't say is crazy, he was arrested in Japan for owning 3D printed guns. Not using, owning. Just by owning 3D printed guns in Japan is enough to get you arrested. That is crazy. What? Hang on. What? Ordered. Hang on. Diana just texted me something, and I'll get back to the 3D gun printing thing. Oh, Diana. Here's a brief update from Diana. She says she ordered all of these. That's a very pregnant wife. That's what that is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Jeez. Lost count. Do not get in between a pregnant wife and her corn dogs. Do also not get in between me and playing back the list of patrons who are now in line for credit, making it possible for me doing these types of videos for you, for everybody, even if you're not a patron. Thank these people and the 700 some odd other patrons that are currently in the list. So back to this man being arrested in Japan for owning 3D printed guns. What are governments going to do? I mean, yeah, you could arrest someone. Yes, that's possible. It sends a message. But, people are still going to print 3D guns that could be used to kill other people. You could even use, an instrument that is, quote-unquote, legal and doesn't have to be registered to kill someone else. Scissors, for example. That could kill someone else. I'm sure someone out there has figured out how to kill someone with lip balm. I'm not saying I would. But what's going to happen when, not if, and I don't have an answer to this question, it's just throwing it out there. What's going to happen when more people have 3D printers? Or 3D printers are in every home. And you could fabricate or construct any kind of deadly weapon. Imagine a point where you press a button on your replicator and say, make me a batleth hot. Sorry, that was stupid. I was trying to cross over tea, Earl Grey, hot. Oh, okay. Give me a batleth Earl Grey, hot. I don't know how that would turn out. Sorry, if you didn't catch the reference, I really do feel sorry for you, not for me. I got the reference because I made it. But anyway, go ahead, Google your brains out on that if you want. The idea that you could create your own weapon and get arrested for it, it just seems like it's an outmoded way of thinking because we're going to get to the point where it's going to be overwhelming. There's just going to be so much of it. It's going to be ever prevalent, which, I guess is both concerning and yet not concerning at the same time. I mean, it's kind of like everybody having tanks, right? What are we going to do? Just tank each other to death? Yeah, okay, well, to prove what? That we have tanks? Okay. Mutually assured destruction, is that what we're driving for there? But he didn't even use it. This man didn't even use the 3D printed guns, 2 of which were operational, but he never used them. Now, I would understand if he 3D printed and used them. That'd be one story, but, in Japan, apparently it's illegal to actually have the weapon fabricated. From a design that he basically downloaded from the internet. He had no idea that it was illegal. I don't think a lot of people would realize that it would be illegal in Japan. Stemming the tide, I think that's what it boils down to. We are used to operating with rules that worked before technology brought us to where we are, right? It's kind of like thinking of today's society with rules that worked 50 years ago. Definitions change, technology changes, it forces us to adapt as a society. And there are parts of society that don't want to adapt, aka governments don't want to change because the power is shifted. And I'm sure the gun lobbyists don't want 3D printed guns because, again, the power shifts. Traditional media studios don't necessarily like content the way it's happening today because power shifts. But these changes, they happen. Whether the world wants them to or not, culture has to evolve. Because if it doesn't, it's gonna find itself at the end of something probably far worse than a gun. And I mean that, and I'm not saying that, trust me, being on the opposite end of a gun is not a fun time. But I'm saying that, when you're talking about shifting industries, like having an entire industry obliterated because of transformations that technology brings us. I mean, you can't hold that stuff back forever, and I just... The world has always been an interesting place, but I think it's going to become increasingly interesting as technology becomes more and more prolific and pervasive. The idea that, right now you kind of have to have a degree to operate a 3D printer because they're not easy. They're fun from a hobbyist standpoint, but they're not easy. I've yet to even want to own one. I've seen some interesting possibilities for a 3D printer out there, but it's got to get far more user-friendly for me to even consider, wanting to use something on a regular basis. But that's just my perspective. I'm not slagging 3D printers at all. I think it's fascinating, but it's got 3D printing as a product has got certainly a long way to go. You may have remembered eating a cereal known as Frosted Flakes. They're great! Well, a man who once voiced Tony the Tiger has passed away today. Lee Marshall died at 64 years old. And so that torch will now be passed on to the next Tony the Tiger. The Tony the Tiger that I grew up with had passed the torch on to Lee Marshall, I believe, back in 2002. Even if you don't eat the cereal, you probably know they're great. I'm guessing. That is a complete guess. That guy commenting, by the way, we're going back to that gun topic. He says, that's a good thing, Chris. You don't want people to print guns. They're going to print whatever they're going to print. I can't stop that from happening, right? And I'm not saying it's a good thing, but if everybody carries a gun, what's the point? We're going to go around shooting each other? I mean, we can't protect ourselves. I mean, we can, but only so much. At some point, you kind of have to let go and let God. I am a huge supporter in the right for anybody to bear whichever weapons they care to bear, but I'm also a big believer in respecting other people. I'm a huge believer in that. In fact, a few minutes before going live on this broadcast, I didn't plan on talking about it, but I guess it's relevant to bring up now. Oh, by the way, your name could be there. Thank you for being a patron or becoming one. Coming closer to 1,000, coming closer to 800, and I'll throw in certain bonuses when we reach 800, including a What's on My iPad video and more fun and frivolity. Frivolity, that seems to be the word of the day, but the topic I'm about to cover is not frivolous at all. There was a post that was I found where someone dressed up in cosplay at their school, teenager, and was basically beaten up. Just for almost no reason other than they decided to dress as a character. I don't even know what the character was. And so they blogged about it and then had taken screenshots of their classmates. And I don't know if it was a he or a she or their gender or their sex. But either way, it was unacceptable. What was posted in social was it was horrific. I mean, one person said, blank got the crap beat out of them. Deserved it, blah, blah, wearing all that crap, yanking it off the head, blah, blah, blah. I was like, really? This is it's wrong. And, I don't like it when people do that to me. I'm an adult, and I don't take bullying. I mean, if someone comes out with a rude comment or tries to force me into their paradigm, I get upset, and I usually block them. I don't care how old you are, because I've seen kids act like adults and adults act like kids. So it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with your emotional maturity level. If your happiness comes at the price of somebody else's happiness, you're doing it wrong. Period. End of story. No argument. It's like the people say, Chris, we want you to be yourself, but then they're not happy unless I mirror exactly who they are. And they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is my happiness. If you don't want to share my happiness, it's up to you, but you cannot take away from my happiness. If it makes you happier, that's a problem with you, not with me. So I got the same issue with people who say I'm quote unquote boring. No, you're bored. There's a difference. Move on. It's your problem. So I had a big issue with this not just happening in real life. Someone should never have done that to somebody else. They invaded their personal space, made them feel less than who they were. For whatever reason, and I don't have the full story. I don't know if it was provoked. I don't know if minutes before they did something else. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know the full story. But either way, to pile on to somebody else like this in this type of attack, in this type of scenario, just doesn't seem right. That's bullying. And I'm very grateful for never having to have grown up with this technology. Would I have loved to have grown up with this phone, this smartphone? Sure, it'd have been great, but all of those stresses that would have come along with it at a point in my life when I was still, learning about who I was, being comfortable in my own skin, having to cave to social pressures, and having a difficult time of it as it was. Imagine, and I can only imagine you kids out there, and I'm sorry, if you're under 21, you're a kid. I don't mean that as a bad thing, it's just that you're not an adult. I mean, there's a difference between a kid and an adult. But like I said, it has nothing to do with age, or maturity levels, because I've seen and met kids who are far more mature than their age would imply. But as a kid, having to go to a school and then going home and always having this as an attack vehicle, I can't imagine. Man, I don't know. I don't even know how the hell I'm going to deal with it, when baby Pirillo's born and ends up having to face these morons, because inevitably they will. Because if I ever find out my kid, I'm serious about this. I ever find out that my kid was ever bullying somebody else, directly or indirectly, taking away from somebody else's happiness, making someone feel less than who they were, trust me, they're going to be at a very poor end that they don't want to be in. How do I say this? Everything that they would treasure and value would likely be stripped of them. I'd have no problem cutting off their access to the internet. I wouldn't care. Nope. Gone. Done. Privileges revoked. You don't treat other people like that. Period. End of story. Just doesn't happen. I will not tolerate it. I didn't like it when I was a kid, and I'll be good and goddamned if I'm going to tolerate it as an adult. And I'm not going to sit idly by and watch it happen, especially in one of my social feeds. Why do you think these idiots get blocked? I don't care how old you are. I don't care the color of your skin. If you're a moron, you're a moron. I don't want you in my life. I will not accept bullying. Period. Period. Or, to put it a bit more in context, I will bully a bully back. I have no problem with it. I took enough of that shit lying down when I was a kid. Not anymore. Nay. If you push me, expect to get pushed back. And especially for the kids who can't push back, I'll push back for them. I ever find out any of you did something like that, you behave like that in real life, trust me, if I find out, I will boot you from this community faster as soon as I possibly can, in every way I possibly can. I don't want to be associated with it. Just don't need it in my life. Don't want it in my life, don't want to support it, don't want to support the people, I don't care what their excuses are. If you're a bully, get out. I doubt that you're watching this video if you're a bully. Or just stop. If you've been bullied, understand that it's a problem with the bully, and unfortunately, you got to stand up for yourself. But the moment you stand up to a bully, 9 times out of 10, I mean, you make it a black eye in the process, but they're not going to bully you again. That happened to me. I've talked about it before. Anyway, so I get upset about the online bullying thing because it's a personal issue for me. It's a very personal issue for me. And I just don't tolerate it. I don't like I don't like rude comments, and rude comments to me are a form of bullying, and it's I have the same issue with a dislike on YouTube. It's a form of bullying. In my opinion, it's a form of bullying, because people put their lives out there. What are you disliking? Sometimes they pour their heart and soul into it. Dislike is basically a slap in the face, and I've argued about this until I've been blue in the face. But it's a negative social gesture that has an anonymity standing behind it. There's no association with that negative gesture. Man, if you bully, there's usually a face to the gesture. I don't appreciate bullying, with names associated or anonymous bullying. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. I have certain boundaries, and if I feel like a comment's being made that it's just over my boundary, I won't even think about it. I just won't even think. Sometimes I won't react. I'll just block and just move on. Other times, if they try to put me in my place, in their mental box that they constructed for me, I'll return fire. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that my universe revolved around you. I don't know, there's just this asinine notion in social media that everything has to cater to your whim. I'm not accusing you watching it, but you can choose what you choose to watch. You can choose what you choose to watch. You can choose what you watch and what you experience. You can't expect that someone's going to deliver everything that you want for you. The world doesn't revolve around you. The world doesn't revolve around me. I know that. And, if I ever overstep my boundaries, people, they say, Chris, this is my boundary and you stepped over. Very rarely, if ever, does that happen. But I'm not going to sit there and elevate that. Or at least let people get away with that. I don't care if they're having a bad day. If you push me, I will push back. I don't care who you are. I just do not care. Because you've already eliminated any amount of respect that anybody should have for you. All bets are off. The gloves are off. You know, you think you're all cool and big and everything by attacking other people in real life or online. It's bullying. Your happiness is contingent on removing somebody else's happiness. Not acceptable. This is the biggest problem I have even with technology. Like, you know, well, you like iOS, therefore you're an enemy of the state. What? It's their phone. What the hell's your problem with their phone? It's their phone. If your happiness is contingent on everybody believing the same thing that you believe, do you understand how stupid that is? Yes, that's right. I would be calling you stupid to your face. To sit there and say, you like Android, therefore everybody else should like Android. That's a religious war. People have been killed over that. That's stupid! Okay, sorry, going off on it there. Was not expecting to go this direction live on YouTube. And you know what? If I offended you, I'm not saying everybody's stupid. I'm just calling the people who call other people stupid, stupid. So there you go. Vicious circle. Hey, they tore away any amount of respect for me. Why should I respect them? Don't care if they're a troll or not. Their happiness comes at the cost of somebody else's happiness, and that doesn't work in my book. Okay, I've babbled enough. I didn't even get to all the things that I wanted to cover today. Boy, did that make any sense? You know what? If I offended you, what can I say? It's just the way I approach things, and I can go into my stories at a later date if I haven't already gone over the stories. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up and calm down because in a half hour I got to do another video live to YouTube for the patrons. What would you do if someone changed your house decor? This was asked by Geekanoid's man himself, Dave Cryer. And so Dave had, he posed this as a patron. He's a patron of ours. And Dave's a great YouTube producer as well. I think he's got a Patreon campaign too. So I'm going to answer that question in a separate video. It'll be fun. A lot more lighthearted than the hell with the way that this video turned out. I'm sure I've upset half the world, except for the bullies. If I upset them and made them cry, good for me. I gotta wrap it up. If you were ever bullied, or if you're being bullied, I will tell you this: it does get better, and you'll figure out how to deal with it in your own way. Your happiness. If you take nothing from this video, if you take nothing away from this video, take this away. If you take nothing, that doesn't matter. If you only take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Your happiness cannot come from somebody else's unhappiness. Not just because of Schadenfreude. It's just not right. Morally, it's just repugnant. Your happiness cannot come at the cost of somebody else's happiness. It just can't. I cannot respect that. At all. Period. In any context. Cannot. Won't support it. Just think about that. Just think about it, man. If anybody could be upset at me, how could you be upset at me for saying that? Some people will figure out a way. Trust me. Some people are just looking for an excuse to be pissed off. Not me. I'm looking for an excuse to be happy. So I'm going to unbag my Revan figure today somewhere, somehow. And I'm also going to... I got 2 other mustaches here. I'm going to give myself sideburns. There you go. I need to grow sideburns again. The problem is that I'm getting gray hairs there. So, I don't want to do it anymore. What do you think? It would look good if my hair grew in that thick, but it doesn't. So, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for being yourself. Thank you for remembering to like, share, comment, subscribe. Watch even more of our videos right now after clicking the gear icon next to the subscribe button on a YouTube page, so you're enabling updates to get emails, when we upload a new video on this one or the other channel. We really appreciate it. At this point, I'm going to leave you to your own devices. Whatever devices they are, as long as you're happy with them. We'll see you later.